Thanks a lot for joining us again on TVC Breakfast Saturday. All right, it's days now after the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, visited Nigeria, and many persons have commended the initiative taken to deepen bilateral relations with Nigeria. The U.S. Secretary of State also promised a provision of $45 million to West African nations as part of plans to fight conflict. Let's get more details of the impact of Mr. Blinken's visit to Nigeria.
The 71st U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, arrived in Nigeria at about 4:40 p.m. on Tuesday. A team led by Nigeria's Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, U.S. Chargé d'Affaires, Ambassador David Green, received him at the airport. His late arrival altered his planned visit to the U.S. Embassy as his convoy headed to the presidential villa to keep the late evening appointment with President Bola Tinubu. He briefed the media afterwards on the importance of his visit, which he says is to assure Africa of the United States' commitment to strengthening partnerships, born out of a conviction that Africa is the key to the world's future. The U.S. also believes Africa will continue to shape the future. He left Abuja at about 10:13 p.m. for Lagos. In Lagos, he inaugurated an innovative and tech-enabled American corner to support youth innovation, entrepreneurship, and creativity. America is trying to ensure, these analysts says, beyond these visits, Nigeria needs to exert some demands to harness the full benefit of the partnerships.
In our best interest not to put all our eggs in one basket. We need to broaden our partnership beyond just US and UK. We need to have partnership with Russia, with China, with India, with France, with European Union, because that's where our liberation lies.
He says it is important this visit and partnerships translated to development for Nigeria and Africa at large. Nigeria needs practical support in areas of economy, security, and infrastructure to improve the living conditions of the people. Nigeria, also being a non-aligned country, should work a way out to ensure its bilateral relations with other countries are not just rhetoric, but full of impact. He advised that Nigeria should not be a playground of superpower rivalry. A practical engagement translates to not just economic growth, but development in all spheres, which Nigeria and Africa by extension crave so much. Moya Thomas, TVC News, Abuja.
And that's what we'll be speaking about now. This time around, we bring in from our Abuja studio, Global President ready to lead Africa. He's also a member of the Mandela Washington Fellowship. God bless Otubere. It's good to see you again. Thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast. Let's begin with what your takeaways are following Mr. Blinken's visits to Nigeria.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. And again, it's good to be back on TVC and to be with you on the Breakfast Show. Definitely the impact of the Secretary's visit is very, very, important, and we can see that it's beginning to yield some fruit. Of course, with the launching of the American corner in Lekki, Lagos, re-emphasizes the desire of the United States to deepen partnership with Nigeria and also work with its young generation to ensure that they are freer, they are able to produce and be more entrepreneurial and be innovative. So again, when you have over 50 countries and on the sub-region and the Secretary of State of a global major power like the US comes to Africa, and then your country is one of the countries that he's visiting, you should understand the importance of your country in the global scheme of things. So for me, the takeaways are a lot, of course. There are other conversations around bilateral partnerships on trade, between Nigeria and the United States. And of course, the $45 million pledge on security to Africa is something else that I believe is in the right step, in the right direction. So there are a lot of it, but maybe as the questions more, I would dive down into some of the other specific things that the Secretary's visit would have, impacted Nigeria with.
Well, Mr. Otubore, well, this is the third time he will be visiting Nigeria and the first in this particular administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. How significant is this particular visit, and what are those things that will benefit Nigeria in this particular visit?
I mean, if you look at it, this is the first time he's coming back with the president sworn in now and all the litigations over. Now he's come to say, you know what, we want to be a part of what is going on in Nigeria. The significance, like I earlier stated, is that you have, the top diplomat of the United States. He speaks for the United States. He carries the message and all the goodwill of the United States outside of the United States when he travels. And if he's come to Nigeria to say, look, President Tinubu, this is what we are, doing. This is what we want to be able to do. And we believe Nigeria is a strategic partner in that direction. It gives us a lot of leverage. Of course, it puts us on the front burner when it comes to issues about Africa. So beyond what the United States does with HIV and tuberculosis prevention, the continued support for the U.S. exchange programs that I'm a beneficiary of, and thousands of other people spread across this country, across the 6 geopolitical zones. The benefits are, it's not something you just look at and say, that is it. It's in different forms, and it continues to grow. And same with what we do for the United States, sharing intelligence, ensuring that both national interests are protected, and ensuring that we continue to thrive as a group in the United States. These are all benefits that come with such visits, because it's not just one thing. We can say, okay, maybe there's a pledge here, there's a commitment here, there's an opening of an American corner, but coming the fourth time shows you how important Nigeria is to the United States.
Right, and his visit is also, and the promises that he has made concerning intensified partnership with Nigeria across various sectors, including tech, of course, ICT, and the likes, health, and so on. But then it's also coming on the heels of some major corporations exiting Nigeria, citing various reasons. And, I'm wondering, because that's part of the stuff, the areas you focus on here in Nigeria, what's your reaction to this, and how you think the Nigerian government can also use this opportunity to address some of the concerns that even Mr. Blinken raised?
I mean, right, spot on. That's a fantastic question. Because in the balance of trade, of course, you agree with me that our balance of trade is not anything to actually talk about at the moment. Of course, and then if you have millions of dollars of foreign profit that are trapped in Nigeria, of course, that creates a lot of problem. And like you rightly pointed out, there are organizations that are exiting Nigeria right now. And of course, it has to do with a lot of our fiscal policies, some of the, recent shock with regards to with FX policies that the government has rolled out. Of course, the government is saying, look, it might get a little bit rough before it gets better, and Nigerians are watching to see. The Secretary of State clearly, raised those concerns, and the response of the Nigerian government, I will believe, will be a commitment to ensuring that those trapped funds get back to those who have invested and have made a profit. I know that's something that the government is looking at closely. Beyond just the rhetorics, I'm also charging the president and the Minister of Finance and the coordinating Minister of the Economy to ensure that we find a way and we find solution, not just by talking, that we find a solution to get these trapped monies back to, to companies that have earned them. Again, for companies that are leaving, I absolutely believe that it is the responsibility of the government, led by the president, to give them assurances that their businesses will thrive and that they would make profit. And we must ensure, not just by saying it again, we must ensure that when companies come here and they're investing in very harsh economic conditions, we must find ways to incentivize them so that they stay. It is what governments do. It is what we must do at this time. We're in a global competition for space under the sun. Companies, institutions, governments are doing everything they can to attract foreign direct investment. Ours cannot be different. So I'm speaking to the president today, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and to all the 36 state governors, our ministers, and everyone. Please continue to woo these institutions. Let's find out where they are hurting, and let's fix it for them. If it's about giving tax breaks, let's do that. If it's about helping them with, understanding logistics and helping them access markets, we need to do that. There are thousands, millions of young people that are currently unemployed in this country. Our unemployment rate is going off the roof. This is not the time for companies to be leaving. So, the secretary may have raised it. I believe it is incumbent on the president and everyone working for this administration to ensure that Nigeria succeeds. This is the only country we have. So I believe there will be solutions ahead. Go ahead, please.
I like your line of thought saying that this is the only country that we have. During his visit to the Ivorian capital, talking about Abidjan, Antony Blinken pledged about $45 million to boost the coastal West Africa security. How will this help a country like Nigeria to tackle the insecurity issues that we have on ground?
I mean, it will go a long way in supporting both kinetic and non-kinetic efforts to tackle insecurity. But we must realize that insecurity does not happen outside of variables. There are variables that lead to insecurity. First, when people are not fundamentally and effectively engaged, you have minds that can be turned into anything. Now, with the $45 million, remember this is a pledge, and it may come not in physical cash. It may just be security assistance that are providing some weapon system or some ammunition and what have you. Nevertheless, I do believe that with $45 million directed to the security architecture of the West African sub-region, we would see some uptake, in military advantage over insurgents. But our goal, my generation's goal, and if you ask every young person, we really don't want to be fighting insurgents. We want to be raising entrepreneurs across the Sahel, across the mangrove areas of Africa, along the coastal lines of West Africa. That's what we want to do. So whilst we appreciate all of this support coming in from the United States, our responsibility is to look at how best do we channel these resources such that we're not fighting our own people, but that we're developing our people. But generally speaking, a commitment of $45 million to supporting security is a commendable effort. Of course, we have the crisis now, we have to deal with it. There are people also who have decided that they are going to cause problems and they're going to be against the state. But we're telling them that we will defeat them. We will continue to hunt them down and continue to work with partners across the West African sub-region to ensure that whatever is coming in from other international partners is well utilized so that we can have a peaceful, prosperous West African sub-region. But generally, that is a commendable effort. But on our part as Nigerians and as West Africans, we must ensure that the variables that cause insecurity are nipped in the bud, which is we need to educate our people better. We need to open opportunities for more young people to access resources. We need to give our loans to more people to build businesses and get government out of the way of young people so that we can thrive and just really shun violence and extremism as a way to have meaning. And again, what we would also need to do is to teach our people the place of religion, right? The place of religion in our national life is to guide us to God. and not to make us commit crimes or do things that, that make us hate other people. So these are all part of what we believe such supports can go into, retraining, reorienting communities, integrating communities, and talking to traditional rulers and religious leaders to bring our people together, preach the one Nigeria message, because the Nigerian tribe is the only tribe that we have, not our pockets of smaller tribes.
Right, and considering Nigeria's status in the sub-region and even in the continent, of course, the U.S. is also mindful of this. But what do you think should be the role of Nigeria, in this bid to enhance security in the sub-region? And on the other hand is the growing influence of Russia and even China. The U.S. government is also mindful of this as well, is saying, but even in the subject of security, where the Russian side has intervened somewhat, America is saying it doesn't mean that the people are even better off, hence it's dipping or digging deeper, to help in this major challenge. What sense do you make of all of this?
I mean, Nigeria's role in West Africa or the African sub-region cannot be overemphasized. It is clear we're currently maybe just behind South Africa. I know that ratings constantly change, but we're like the biggest economy on the continent with over 200 million people. That's you cannot just push us away. So the importance of Nigeria is undoubtedly true. Now, with the influence of China and Russia in Nigeria and Africa, and the continuous concern of the United States, we must realize that the United States is a democratically run country, just like we have in Nigeria. And of course, we're not perfect. The arc of our democratic journey continues to bend towards justice. And, we're continuing the responsibility of holding forth and ensuring that that process continues. So the United States is lockstep, one-on-one with us in that particular direction. They want to see democracy succeed in one of the most important countries in the world and in Africa. And then you have China and Russia that are not democracies, but their influence is gradually and increasingly being felt. Of course, you look at the strategy of China, build it and they would respect you. And it's working for them. Tighten your economic trajectory back home, succeed back home, export your success abroad. That's what China is doing, and everybody's taking note. What is Russia doing? Russia is a superpower with nuclear arms and ability to build weapons. And Russia's technology has also been deployed all over the world. Now, that is a major case. That's a major issue for the United States. But this is the catch. The catch is we are not a country that says, oh, we cannot relate with all the people because X, Y, Z. Nevertheless, we have maybe stronger ties with some people and less stronger ties with some other people. So the concern of the United States is valid, but again, we have to realize that we're now in a world that you cannot say, oh, you're friends with only this person, you're not going to be friends with this person. So it's a lot of diplomatic maneuvering that's happening on the international stage. And I think this is where the capacity of our diplomats and our would-be leaders of tomorrow must begin to learn international relations and how to deal with different interests, and also remember that our national interest comes first. Yeah, go ahead.
Definitely national interest comes first. And some political pundits have criticized the U.S. In the ongoing fight between Israel and Hamas, looking at a country who is calling for global peace and having their support to a particular country. That's just by the way. You will react on that one. But quickly, when Antony Blinken was in Nigeria, he visited the Nikkei Art Gallery. I'm talking about culture at the moment. Let's take a listen to this particular report. And when we come back, you will give your own reaction on this development, on how Nigeria can tap into the potential of the U.S. in art and tourism. Take a listen to this.
The 71st U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, arrived in Nigeria at about 4:40 p.m. on Tuesday. A team led by Nigeria's Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, U.S. Chargé d'Affaires, Ambassador David Green, received him at the airport. His late arrival altered his planned visit to the U.S. Embassy as his convoy headed to the presidential villa to keep the late evening appointment with President Bola Tinubu.
Well, right. Emmanuel there was asking a question. We still have, God bless, Otubere. We apologize for that glitch, but let's continue with our conversation with Mr. Otubere.
Okay. What is your own reaction on how Nigeria can tap into the potential of the U.S. in art and tourism?
I mean, it is unlimited. It is absolutely unlimited. The United States have citizens, one of the most art-loving citizens demographics that you can find in the world. People from the United States travel across the world just collecting arts, and because they appreciate the imaginative process that goes into creating art. So, of course, with Nikkei Art Gallery being a very important and recurrent a feature when you have top U.S. diplomats and leaders come to Nigeria, it sort of reemphasizes the importance that the United States places on art and the possibility for such level of trade. With Nigerians who are now, a lot of us create these days. We see a lot of pencil art, people drawing their favorite artists and what have you. I see tremendous opportunity for exporting such to the United States. And of course, with the Prosper Africa strategy, which is clearly now going to go just beyond a Greek, these are areas where I believe that Nigerians can take advantage of and begin to trade with the United States. On that level. And of course, cultural exchange. For some of us who have had to go to the United States on cultural exchange programs like the Mandela Washington Fellowship, the Tech Women, IVLP, Fulbright, it's just amazing. So the opportunities are limitless, and I'm calling on many Nigerians today. Just go on the U.S. website and follow the information. There are a lot of cultural exchange opportunities that you can benefit from. Similar things, of course, as we also welcome U.S. students who come here for internship. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Mr. Otubere, just a moment. Take a listen to this particular voice or thoughts coming from the Nikkei Art Gallery, and quickly get your reaction to this development.
Governor, there will be and the good president. That is why I was happy that during their own time, the Secretary of the State come to Nigeria, which means our government is good. And today, we always remain green. This is my first time for any head of state from U.S. to come and visit the gallery. In Abuja, we have 4 heads of state, which is President of South Korea has visited, the China has visited, but the first time in Lagos. I'm so happy and privileged that I thank the Lagos State as well.
Well, that was a Nikkei Art Gallery there. What's your reaction to that particular statement coming from her there, talking about the culture, the beauty of Nigeria?
Absolutely, you cannot take it away. I mean, you see Antinike and you see the richness of the Nigerian culture on full display. So for me, I'd say that it is just amazing. Like I said earlier on, the Secretary of State carries the emblem of the American government when he goes outside. It's just like the President of the United States coming to visit Nigeria and stopping by at the Nikkei Art Gallery. It shows you the importance of art and how they feel or how they feel about it, how they think that it is an important aspect of bilateral relations. And I think Nigerians can tap into that. And you can see the smiles on the face of, Antonika there, which clearly shows the importance of such visit and its significance.
God bless Otubere. This is a fine place to rest our conversation. We thank you very much for all the insights and contributions that you have shared on TVC Breakfast Saturday. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Right, and still on the program, as usual, we hit the streets, this time around to ask Nigerians what their thoughts are on the issue of investing in gadgets. Is it a waste? Let's check out